Welcome back, my friends. In this tutorial, we're going to create our first dot art mandala. If you have watched the previous beginner series, then you would know that in the last series, I asked you to prepare a 4x4 inch canvas. It can be canvas, can be MDF, can be whatever you have, cardstock even. So this is 4 inches by 4 inches.
Just to recap, the first thing we did was take a ruler and draw a line diagonally from corner to corner, and that got us our center point.
And then I divided this in half, so at 2 inches at each point, and then we drew those lines through. And these other lines are about 1 3/16 from the corner in, all the way around, and that will get your other lines in. Our circles are in 0.5 centimeter increments, and we're ready to go in with our center dot. The colors that I'm using today are Worn Penny, so a copper color, and then I have a Mississippi Mud, Fawn, and Desert Sand. So a dark brown, a medium brown, and a light brown, and then I have Teal Mint and Sea Breeze, so you can use 2 different colors of a green or a turquoise or a blue. They'll work as well. And then of course I have my white. So we're going to start with a copper center dot. All right, we're going in with Worn Penny, and I'm going to be using the 12mm tool, the yellow rod. Now what I want you to focus on is 2 lines, just 2 of them. If you try and look at them all, it gets too confusing. So we're going to try and get this center dot in as centered as possible. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to take my fine tip tool, just dragging that paint all around in there. Okay, we're happy with that.
If you're painting along with me, please pause at any time when you need more time to get the dot in place.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place a row of dots around that center dot. Now, press pause and let this dry first. So our first round of dots is going to be in white, and I've got the Liquitex Basics Fluid in titanium white here. And now we're going to decide which tool we're going to use. So I think if we use the 0.5mm tool in your nail stylus set, that will work nicely. All right, so we're using our 0.5mm tool, and I can see, looking closely, that I have one line that's off a little bit. I think it's this one. Should probably come over a little bit this way. So I'm going to try and go in every space, but if I can't, that's fine. We're just going to continue on with the same size dots all the way around.
Now, because you guys are painting along with me, I am not going to speed any of this up, okay? So it may be boring for some people, but for those of you actually painting this piece, you need the time to paint along with me. I don't know why, but when doing the circles of dots, I find that the most calming thing ever. Until you get close to the end, but otherwise it's very calming, very meditative to me. And I hope you find the same. And let's focus on consistent size dots and consistent spacing around there. Now we start to get closer towards the end. Don't panic, just gauge your spacing and fit the dots in. And sometimes if you've gone off a bit, you may have to remove, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 dots so that you can space those last 5 in evenly. Okay, and no one will notice. I have one little one here that I just want to coax back into a circular shape, and that is what these silicone tools are fabulous for. It's just a little push and you don't have to do anything else.
Okay, our next row of dots is going to be in Fawn, or the medium brown. see if I want to use the 1mm tool or the 2. I think the 2. I think we have room for the 2. Okay, so we're basically just going above these dots and in between each dot there. Remember, you're just kissing the surface with that tool. There, you should have 2 rounds of dots around that center dot now.
Be proud of yourselves. We're going to move on to the 3rd row.
The next one we're going to go in with is the Mississippi mud, the dark brown. Again, pause the video to let it dry. You can use a gentle hair dryer to help
speed that up.
And we'll be looking at the 2.5mm tool.
So at this point, I check to see whether or not I think the 2.5 would work. And I sometimes will put paint on it. And just before dotting, I will decide. I decided that this dot needed to be bigger, so we're using the 3mm tool.
With the Mississippi mud. If I change my mind, I do. Okay, just lightly kiss the surface there, guys. Isn't this fun? Isn't it relaxing? Don't you love it? Remember, if you make a mistake, it's no big deal. You just have to go back to the mistakes section and look at how to deal with that.
And you will fix it, and no one ever needs to know.
One more. Okay, so we have that next round of dots in.
Nicely done.
Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go in with this desert sand, which is the lighter color, and we're going to create a dot above here, and then we're going to take our fine tip tool and drag a tiny little swoosh in between. Again, as I always say, let it dry. Let it dry, let it dry, let it dry. Okay, so now we're 3mm tool, and what we're going to do is we're going to rest our dot on this line, just like so.
And the middle of that line is 2 centimeters from center.
Don't worry about your lines, worry about being in between those 2 dots.
Now you may want to just place a dot or 2 and then do the swoosh. So just preview ahead and see what we're doing. Hopefully you're feeling more comfortable with placing the dots, with the amount of pressure, the amount of paint to put on the tool, and it all comes in time. Now the risk we run with placing all of the dots before doing the swooshes is if we're taking a long time doing it, that paint in the dots might start to dry out too much.
That was big. okay?
So I do hope you let your Mississippi mud dots dry before doing this, because this is where it can get a little dicey, because it's a very tiny space you're dragging that swoosh into, and you don't want it to bleed into the Mississippi mud dots. So I'm just using that fine tip tool to drag both sides into that tiny little space and fill in wherever needed.
And it may be a good idea to do just maybe 3 dots at a time, just so if you take a while, it doesn't dry them out.
I started dotting after my cancer diagnosis in 2016, and I'll tell you, it's meant the world to me. It really has changed my outlook on a lot of things and helped me to cope with everything you do have to cope with after a cancer diagnosis. We're getting there, my friends. Only a couple of more swooshes to do.
There we go, we're all the way around. How about that?
Remember to pop those bubbles.
Okay, the next thing we want to do is place a copper dot in between all of those. And so we go around and we check our tool size to see that it's going to fit in between each of the swooshes. And I'm going to take the copper in on that one. Let's come just above, yes, let's come just above those with that dot. So you're in that space just above the dark brown or the Mississippi mud dot.
And you're just kissing the surface with your copper paint.
Again, if your base is tight, really make sure it's dry before you go in, okay? We go. We are all the way around. So our next project here is we're going to create some flower bases. So we'll start off with our darker of the 2 colors that you've chosen. I'm using Teal Mint. So we'll go with the 8mm tool. Yeah, I'm going to go just above the swooshes with this flower base, okay? So you're using the 8mm tool, and you're basically just there in that space, okay? And I'm going to do every other
swoosh.
Oh, I hope that's not too big, but we'll see.
Now remember, when you're using the acrylic rods, you need to come at your dot in a perpendicular fashion. So straight down, kiss the surface, and back up you come.
So basically here, From this point down, you've got 1, 2, 3 lines, and you should be somewhere in the middle, so that the middle of that dot should cross the middle line.
Don't you just love this color palette? I love it.
There we go. Are you ready to walk some dots? So the first row of dots is going to be in the lighter color you have. So it will be, for me, it's Sea Breeze, and for me, Sea Breeze is a little thick. So I'm going to use some pouring medium to thin that down. That's more the consistency we want. Hopefully you've watched the paint consistency video. Anytime you see a bubble, get it early. Okay, so we're using the 0.5 millimeter tool, so the large end of this nail stylus tool, and we're going to place a dot just above this line here. This is what I like to call our uppermost dot. Bubble. Okay, and then we're going to walk those dots down. I'm going to wipe off the tool first.
And here's where you need to be careful to keep your hand out of the other wet paint.
If you don't feel you have enough paint on your tool, go ahead and add more. And if you find having it on the turntable is not working, then just take it off and you'll be more stable, right? I'm getting about 7 dots. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Our first row is in. For our second row, we're going to go back to the color of the flower base, the Teal Mint. I'm going to use the 2 millimeter tool for the uppermost dot. So bigger dot there. There we go. And I think I'm going to go back to the 1mm tool to run those dots down, okay? So remember, whoop, there's our first dot, okay? Whoop, there's our first dot. Funny looking one, isn't it? So I'm doing one dot and then I'm walking the dots after the one dot. Now, if you just want to do one flower at a time, that's perfectly fine, and not risk getting your hands into the paint of the other flowers. Last one. And we're trying to leave ourselves enough room in between these flowers that we can put some swooshes in. Okay, all right, so time for some swooshes. And we're going to go in first with that Mississippi mud. Now, look at your two flowers. Here, definitely, I'm on that center line, okay? So I'm just creating that dot. And then I want to take the fine tip tool. I'm going to put some paint on it. Not quite so much. And I want to drag that down to about there. Can you see this one? That line seems a little bit over. So let's just make it pleasing to the eye that it's in the center of these two flowers. Okay, so it's the 2mm tool for that dot in between the flowers, right in the middle of the flowers. and then use the fine tip tool to drag that down just to about there, because we're going to be placing a dot at the bottom of these swooshes. How's it going, guys? Do not worry if you make a mistake or get some paint where it shouldn't be. I'll be honest with you, it took me 3 attempts to get my center dot in. I'm always late to the game with trying to troubleshoot, and it was older paint, and it wasn't behaving like it should.
And I should have known better.
So I got a different bottle out. Now you can see here, I've left more room on that side than on this side. So I can either go in and fix it now, which I think, let's do that. Let's go in and fix it now.
The other option is hoping that when you put your other swooshes in, it will minimize that look. But just in case, we'll fix it now.
I'm gonna take it off. Again, just gentle movements towards the center of whatever you've put down. Okay, take some of my black craft paint.
And just paint that out.
We're just gonna paint that out. And while I've got that base paint out, I'm gonna hit some of these little splotches that I've left. I've got one right beside that dot there. Got it? One here, one here. So you guys have to wait for me to fix my mistake. So you want to let that dry, and then you're going to go in with your Mississippi mud or your dark brown again. And what I'm doing is I'm eyeballing this swoosh here. So I'm good here on that dot or on that line. But just because of the way I did my swooshes or my petals, I need to take this to here, right? So that's better. Now we're going to be going in with another swoosh in the Fawn beside that. On either side. I'm going to let it dry first, and then we'll go in and put those in. Okay, time to go in with our next swoosh. I'm not happy with how that Teal Mint dried at all, but we are going to be going in with top dots, so hopefully that'll save the day. And why did it dry that way? I really have no idea. Not a clue, because it was a good consistency. The paint is not old. I don't know. So let's go in with Fawn swooshes. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. Now you can always go in with a different size tool and just swoosh down. Okay, I'm liking to keep the tails of my swooshes on this piece narrow because I do want to put a dot down at the bottom, and I just think about I want that dot to cover bottoms of all of them. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So we're coming down a little bit lower here with that first dot, and then we're taking our fine tip tool, and I'm not going to leave a negative space this time. I'm just going to bring them together, okay? And as you're going along, you're just looking at the other ones that you've done to make sure that you're symmetrical, that everything's looking the same. So these dots here are just resting on the line below the outermost circle that we have right now. And this is why it's always important to pay attention to your symmetry, just because if you don't, you can get really tight in some of these spaces if you've gotten a little wider on one flower than the other. So you're always just sort of going back and forth, looking at your guidelines, looking at the whole piece as a whole to see if you are symmetrical. See, here's one where I'm a little tighter on that side than the other. Not significantly, but I'm just aware of it. What do you say we go in and do those top dots? And we're going in with this lighter color, the Sea Breeze. And again, I'm going to just show you, see how that is just kind of, it's a little thick. So we'll add some pouring medium. Oh, not that much, my girl. All right, what size? Let's try the 5mm clear acrylic rod. So that would be the middle one. So when we're doing our top dots, we have to really look carefully. We want to come right in the center of that dot and just kiss the surface, okay? Trying to get as centered as possible. Yeah, I really don't know what happened to that, why that dried the way it did beneath there. And it's really important that these dots beneath your top dots are dry, because if you do run into an issue, you run into a bigger issue if you're trying to clean up wet on wet, right? That's looking very pretty. Okay, so at the base of these swooshes, we're going to place a desert sand dot, but we have to wait for them to dry first. So what we can do is go around with our circle of dots that is just coming in this last space here. I would like to be able to get 2 rows in, so
that one's too big.
what about the 2.5? We can use our nail stylus tool. That would give us more room. So in that one, we're going in with Fawn. So let's just start above this dot here. And we're just gonna stay on the line.
This is such a long sort of interlude. We're doing real time, and so I don't want to speed this up at all, so I'm going to have some beautiful, calming music for you.
So you always look back a bit, look at your dots. Are they the same size? I've got one here that's a little bit smaller, but we'll see if that goes away as we close in on this. Dear, that's not good. Some sort of little stramus in the paint there. Now you probably wouldn't even notice that, but just in case, I'm going to go in with one of my detailing brushes and just touch around it, because sometimes you can afterwards. Sometimes you can be confused about whether or not it is the guideline or a little bit of that paint, right?
And it's better to be safe than sorry.
Now we may get tight in here.
So we're just conscious and aware. We see that we're coming up to the end, and we do want to space everything evenly along there. So have a look ahead and see what you might need to do.
Nope, it worked out perfectly. Fabuloso. So the outer row of dots I'm going to do in the titanium white. And I'm going to stick with the 2.5 millimeter tool. Oops.
Back to our calming music while we get these dots placed in.
Again, you're just in between the two dots above. Just kissing the surface. If you push down too hard, your dot will be too big and it may become distorted, right? So you just want to kiss the surface.
I hope you guys are having fun with this. I know I am. There's something about sharing the information that I have gathered over the years, because I mean, it's been 10 years since I've been dotting, and I love doing these tutorials, and I hope that you guys enjoy them. Please share them, because I'd love others, especially those just starting to dot, to be able to use the series, the beginner series, as a stepping stone to creating their own mandalas. And selfishly, I love doing it. I really do. I get a lot of joy out of creating the videos and posting them onto YouTube, so others can find the same joy that I really find in it. I just love this art form, and if you're here, you probably do too. And if you've watched the mistakes video, you'll know how to deal with any mistakes that might come up. If while painting this, one of our white dots bled into one of our brown dots,
I would use my silicone tool, Q-tip, base coat paint, and just put it in again. And this art it's a matter of practice, like anything, right? The more you do it, the better you will get at it. And I look back to some of my first pieces I was so proud of, and I should have been, because I was doing a great job. But then I look now and I see how much I've improved with the years of practice, right?
And it's exciting. And exciting to know that with more practice, I'll get even better. Now let's finish off this row of white dots. We're almost there.
There, so pretty, so pretty. Okay, I think we can go in now with the desert sand, and we're going to make dots
At the base of those swooshes. And here I'm checking to see whether this 6mm tool will work all the way around. And it's not until I get the paint on it and get close with the tool that I realize, no, that's too big. So I'm actually going in with the 5mm tool, but honestly it's a little bit too big, so I'd prefer it if you used your 4mm tool to create those dots. I'm just continuing on with this tool, but I'm using less pressure, so I'll get a smaller dot.
So if I just kiss down. So you're just coming at the base of those swooshes. Okay, so we'll wait for that to dry. Now you could put things in the corners. Yes, we can walk dots. Let's use the 2mm tool. Okay, let's place a dot in the corner. Dot, 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 dot. Dot, 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 dot. And we're doing this on all 4 corners.
Lovely. I like that.
Okay, we're gonna let that dry, and then we are going to get our top dots on, and then we're going to be done. All I can say is nice work. Nice work, guys. Put some mint teal in there.
I've added just a hint of mermaid tail to my teal mint to just darken it up a bit. And I'm using the 2.5mm tool to place these top dots.
And we're just going right in the center of those dots as best we can. Yeah, I like that. Okay, now where is our copper? Often I will think a certain size of tool, but once I get the paint on and get close, I'm like, no, that's too big. Okay, so let's start here. I've got the 2mm tool. And just placing our tiny little copper top dot. There we go, our first dot art mandala. Okay, you are 100% fine to just stop here. Other things though you could do if you wanted to top dot some of these dots.
Using the 1mm tool, I'm going to place Mississippi mud dots here, just in the ball end of that swoosh, all the way around.
So I'm just using the 1mm tool just to place a dot in these. And that's in the darker brown, the Mississippi mud.
Don't worry, I'll find it.
There we are. Now we're finished. Now we're finished. We're just going to let that dry, then we'll take off our guidelines and then we will varnish. So I hope that went well for you.
I have tried not to speed anything up.
So it can be in real time for you. Thank you so much for following me in this beginner series. I'm hoping that it is helpful to you. If you have any questions, by all means, don't hesitate to ask in the comments or direct message me. I'm always happy to help. Hello, my friends. Good morning. Well, it's time to take off our guidelines. I'm just using a baby wipe, and in particular, you want to get in between those flowers because little guidelines can hide in there. And then you're looking for anything that shouldn't be there or that's in the wrong place, which I've got a couple of those teal dots that are, I have one swoosh that needs fixing. So I see a green dot there, one there, one there.
So I have a little bit of cleanup to do. We'll get that done.
Anyhow, we may as well get at it. So I get some of my background paint to start, and we'll need one of my brushes. So
you'll dip that brush in the paint, but then you'll get most of it off before you go in and try and touch up.
So I've got one there, got one there, one there. A little bit of touch-up work to do on those two. Again, it's all very delicate work. All right, my friends, so that's the last part for me. You might not have had to do any of that touch-up work, so you might be finished. And if you are, then let it dry because we're going to move on to varnishing our piece. Fabulous job, my friends. Fabulous. So let that piece dry.
And then meet me in Module 11, where we will be varnishing this piece and learning all about different kinds of varnish. I wanted to take one moment to show you
what a talented artist my young grandson is. These are by Rain, and he made them for me. He is really taking to dot art mandala. He's only 5, and he's doing fabulously. He even started to do his own swooshes without even any advisement. He just did them, and he did them beautifully. I'm so proud of him. And he has a great sense for color. He really does. And he takes this dot art mandala work very seriously. I'm proud of him. So we'll see you in Module 11 when we'll varnish our piece. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for watching, and please remember, keep on dotting. You will not regret it.